Welcome to Engage South KC, where we are inspired by Jesus impacting our city and the world.
Living this way is an art form that is best when practiced together. We do this together by resisting apathy,
Welcoming everyone and making sure no one is left out.
participating in remedying the concerns of those around us and around the world.
Telling our stories, and just by actually being, eating, and doing life together.
We believe that every day is another chance to live by faith
Labor in love.
and endure with hope. Join us, create with us, as we follow the brushstrokes of the Creator.
Welcome to Engage South KC.
Take a moment to remember who God is and who I am. There I go, lifting my load again. Take a moment to remember who God is and who I am. There I go, lifting my load again. There I go, lifting my load. Take a moment to remember who God is and who I am. There I go, lifting my load again. Take a moment to remember who God is and who I am. There I go, lifting my load again. There I go, lifting my load again. No longer am I held by the yoke of this world. I come up under the yoke of Jesus. His yoke is easy, his burden is so light. No longer am I held by the yoke of this world. I come up under the yoke of Jesus. His yoke is easy, his burden is so light. His yoke is easy, his burden is so light. His yoke is easy, his burden is so light. Burden is so light. His burden is so light. Burden is so light. Lifting my yoke is easy, his burden is so light. No longer am I held by the yoke of this world. Come up under the yoke of Jesus. His yoke is easy, his burden is so light. His yoke is easy, his burden is so light. His yoke is easy, his burden is so light. His yoke is easy, his burden is so light. Burden is so light. Burden is so light. Burden is so light. Take a moment to remember who God is and who I am. There I go, lifting my load again. Take a moment to remember who God is and who I am. There I go, lifting my load again. There I go, lifting my load again.
Hey, I've been meaning to ask, what do you need? For many of us, we don't stop to think about what we need until we're asked. So here I am. What do you need? For me, maybe I've just finished counseling a parent in crisis, and then I run to get my kid who is having a rough day and is determined to fight with everyone. And then I'm scrambling to make dinner. Maybe I even forgot to get the meat out this morning, so it's frozen solid. My middle child has to eat by 4:45 to make it to her evening game, so she's pacing, she's nagging, and then a work thing needs attention, and my phone rings, and on and on and on. Now, if Nathan comes in during this time and he asks, what do I need? I might not even know. Depending on my level of panic, I might say something like, the dishes done, or the dog taken out. Or maybe in a different moment, I'll get more existential. I need to know that my kids are going to grow up healthy, to love Jesus, and to do good. I need to know that I'm not totally screwing all of this up. I need to know that there is a loving God watching out for us, and that this is all going to be okay, even though it feels like chaos right now. Now, Nathan at this point might be looking back at me like a deer in the headlights, not sure what to say. I was just going to the garage. I thought you might need something from the freezer, maybe. Now, asking someone what they need is a vulnerable thing to do, and it can lead to sacred interactions, or really awkward ones. When you ask someone, what do you need? You don't know what people are going to say, and if you can provide it. You might bracket your question with some specifics. What do you need from the freezer? You're saying, if there's an item in the freezer, I'll get it. If the item is at the grocery store, well, you might be out of luck. But you might also simply say, what do you need, as an open-ended question. And this is an act of faith, of curiosity, and respect as you engage with others. As those who are asked the question, what do you need? We can choose to engage or not. We get to choose our level of vulnerability. And maybe we're at the level of vulnerability where we say, hey, I need someone to walk my dog next Tuesday. Or maybe we're at the level where we say something like, well, I need someone to sit and cry and pray with me because I'm not sure my relationship is going to make it. You see how that could be a different level. Or maybe we're saying, hey, I need a miracle. My faith is weak right now. Things aren't looking good, and I need God to show. Now, if I'm feeling safe, I might respond with a whole list of things, from basic tasks to longings of the soul. That's the special part about leaning in and listening to one another, developing relationship. Because often the thing that we need isn't found in the freezer or in making sure the dog gets walked. The deepest longings are often things that I can't make happen on my own. I can't make sure that your child will always be healthy and will grow up to be a person of peace. I can't heal your marriage. I can't fix systems of oppression and injustice overnight. But what I can do is I can hear it and I can bear witness to it. We want healing and wholeness and mended relationships and an end to injustice. We want God's kingdom to break in and for all to be right. But those things can't always be done in an instant. Being present to needs, even when we can't meet them, draws us closer to God and others. So I want to highlight just a couple points about asking, what do you need of yourself and others? Let's start with others. When asking what others need, read the room and respond accordingly. Let me say that again. Read the room and respond accordingly. Go with me to Job 2. Remember, Job was a holy man. He was upright before God, and Satan puts Job to the test to see if he'll curse God, which he doesn't. But when Job's friends find him, his livestock, which remember is essentially currency in his day, had died. His servants had died, and all of his children had died in some sort of tornado-esque accident that caused the house to fall on them. So Job 2 verses 11 through 14 says this: When Job's three friends, Eliphaz the Temanite, Bildad the Shuhite, and Zophar the Naamathite, heard about all the troubles that had come upon him, they set out from their homes and met together by agreement to go and sympathize with him and comfort him. And when they saw him from a distance, they could hardly recognize him. They began to weep aloud, and they tore their robes and sprinkled dust on their heads. And when they sat on the ground with him for 7 days and 7 nights, no one said a word to him, because they saw how great his suffering was. Now, in Job, we have a person who has suffered extreme trauma. For one, the trauma of losing his livelihood, where his present and his future well-being are very much so in question. Worldwide right now, the economy is a mess as we battle inflation, job insecurity, and recovering from the pandemic. Financial traumas are all around us. These are very real, and they impact every aspect of a person's life. And a scarcity mindset can creep in during these times, causing every decision to be skewed and suspect, making even the most mundane of daily decisions challenging. I also know that there are many of us experiencing emotional trauma from medical situations, broken relationships, loss of loved ones, like Job went through, and just life's hardships. That pain can seep deep into your bones, and it can weigh heavy. It can keep you awake at night. Some of us might very much so relate to Job in that. Now, Job's friends hear of his traumas, and they had to see him, and they offer solidarity in very specific ways. Initially, they react with his proper level of emotion. They match the amplitude of the situation. They are feeling with Job, and by weeping aloud and tearing their robes and giving this visual manifestation, they are recognizing that his traumas are indeed very real and worthy of the feelings of the moment. Now, we each have different ways of reacting to trauma and grief. I grew up in a church where congregants would show up in force with casseroles and household assistance should something traumatic happen to another member. It was kind of their way of tearing their clothes and rubbing ashes on themselves. Now, the important thing is not how, but that we show up with our presence when others need us. Now, I'm guessing that each of us knows what it's like to be alone in pain. That's not a good place to be. So let's not let others be there. Now, later, Job's friends sit with him for days and they witness with their very presence the incredible weight of the trauma. Job's friends do this well. Scripture says they don't say a word. In fact, when they start using words after the 7 days, they get in trouble. So read the room, respond accordingly, and don't think that you have to fix everything, because you can't. And further, you might not even know what they need. There will be times when people are experiencing so much trauma that they can't articulate what they need. This is your chance to be incarnational, to just be present, or to assess the basic needs of living, like food and water, and meet those needs. You know, sometimes we think of ourselves like Genie from Aladdin. Remember when he's explaining what he does and he's like, poof, what do you need? Poof, what do you need? We think that we have to show up with the answer and the solutions just like a genie. But really, we need to be more like Kristoff in Frozen 2, who shows up when Anna is knee-deep in the mess of trying to keep the kingdom from being destroyed. Have you ever been in a spot like Anna? You feel like you are literally knee-deep in the mess of trying to keep the kingdom from being destroyed. We all need a Kristoff sometimes. Someone who shows up and says, hey, what do you need? Be a Kristoff. He's ready to react to the situation and Anna's needs, not to impose his own solutions. Now, Kate Bowler, she was just 35 when she was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer. And she shared a list of things that people can do for others who are having a hard time. And she kind of compiled these into a book. These things are super practical and easy, but I wanted to share 2 of the things that she pointed out. Number 1 was bring gifts. And she says this: I am starving, but mostly I can never figure out something to tell people that I need, even if I need it. But really, bring me anything. Chocolate, a potted plant, a set of weird erasers. I remember the first gift that I got that wasn't about cancer, and I was so happy I cried. And number 2, she suggests, give compliments. She says this: unless you are used to speaking in a creepy, windowless van kind of voice, comments like these go a long way. Tell your friend something about his or her life that you admire without making it feel like a eulogy. So the question is, how can we show up for one another in ways that both explicitly show that we see the pain of the moment, and also that we are not afraid to sit with someone in the pain? During healthcare chaplain training, they use this analogy of a person at the bottom of a hole. And our job was not to offer them a rescue line and attempt to pull them out, because maybe we can't, but rather to descend into the hole to bear witness to their reality and be with them. When responding to the needs of others, again, read the room and respond accordingly. Now, we've dealt with the needs of others. What about your needs? Remember this about attending to your needs. If we are going to care well for others, we need to know what we need. So what do you need? What do you need physically, spiritually, emotionally to feel whole? We're not always the best at articulating what we need. Despite the rough situations he finds himself in, though, Paul is actually a really good example for us. Paul is pretty good at saying what he needs. And this might actually be part of the secret sauce in his ministry. In 2 Timothy, he's in jail, and he outlines pretty clearly to Timothy what he needs. It says this in 2 Timothy 4, 9 through 18. It says, get here as fast as you can. Demas, chasing fads, went off to Thessalonica and left me here. Crescens is in Galatia province, Titus in Dalmatia. Luke is the only one here with me. Bring Mark with you. He'll be my right-hand man since I'm sending Tychus to Ephesus. Bring the winter coat I left in Troas with Carpus, also the books and parchment notebooks. Watch out for Alexander, the coppersmith, fiercely opposed to our message. He caused no end of trouble. God will give him what he's got coming. At my preliminary hearing, no one stood by me. They all ran like scared rabbits, but it doesn't matter. The master stood by me and helped me spread the message loud and clear to those who had never heard it. I was snatched from the jaws of the lion. God's looking after me, keeping me safe in the kingdom of heaven. All praise to him, praise forever. Oh, yes. Now, Paul offers us a moment of intense humility as he opens up to share what he needs. The grievances, the stuff, all of it is important. You can't be the best you can be until you can get to the heart of what you need. See, life is a balance of caring well for you and caring well for others. If your well is empty, there's nothing left to give to others. Asking, what do you need, is a vulnerable question with an assumption at its core. It assumes that we need one another. It assumes that I need you to care for some of my needs just as you need me to care for some of yours. And it's done best when we recognize that caring for those needs ranges from bearing witness to needs before God to responding to the needs that are within our power to meet. Now, in response to this word, let's spend some time in Visio Divina, prayer through art. We'll begin our journey to awareness of needs, and we'll ask God to help us see our needs as well as the needs of others.